morning. Today we will study CANTHARIS. The most important characteristic of CANTHARIS is its inflammatory conditions. And the most important characteristic feature is its inflammatory conditions with great rapidity, with which it develops into gangrenous states. Usually, inflammatory states takes few days to develop, but in CANTHARIS, it occurs with great rapidity. When taken internally, it immediately attacks the urinary tract and develops uremic states. The inflammatory states terminate the death of the part with great rapidity and brings the patient down violently sick in a great hurry. The main symptoms, grievous symptoms, are on urinary tract, and in mental symptoms there is sudden loss of consciousness with redness of face, hot head, delirium, frenzy. There is great excitement and rage, and this paroxysm is renewed by dazzling light, or by touching the larynx, or by drinking water, as in rabies. Fears, confusion of ideas, and the mind runs toward the parts that are inflamed. Bladder and genitals are inflamed. The congestion of the parts and excitement arouses the sexual instincts. So there are sexual thoughts and violent, irresistible sexual desire, as if the sexual instincts has gone mad. Erections in male are painful and violent, and the penis is sore, inflamed, and it would be very painful to have coitus. Yet there is sexual frenzy, and he is restless, constantly moving, a rage and delirium intermingled with amorous frenzy. In delirium, he sings songs that are related to sex, to genitals, to urine, stool, etc. This kind of mental conduct is very similar to H.M.S, phosphorus and CANTHARIS. He sings, he talks, he behaves sexual. Usually in healthy states, nobody talks on these subjects. But when in sickness, even the modest, chaste and virgins uses such language that it is sometimes surprising that from where she has picked up such bad language. Where did my daughter learn such language? Daughter is not to blame. It is simply a condition of urinary tract and menstrual dysfunction brought on by exposure to cold, or mother's neglect to tell her daughter what she should know about the menstrual functions. And there is inflammatory conditions of uterus, ovaries and outside parts. Urine burns, scalds and inflames the outside parts. Urine is retained and there is frenzy. Such is CANTHARIS. Running through the remedy, there is burning. Headache, also there is burning, throbbing and stabbing. It is seldom indicated in eye troubles, except with headache or with mild symptoms. Erysipelas of face with large blisters, burning in eyes, and the whole atmosphere looks yellow. There is hot tears in eyes, burning and smarting in eyes, erysipelas of eyelids with gangrenous tendency. erysipelas of face, dorsum of nose and eyelids. Commonly, rustox is indicated in such conditions. But when these conditions are very violent, then Cantharis is preferable over the rustox. Rustox has blisters and burning, but between your two visits, if the erysipelas has turned black, it has grown dusky. That means it is rapidly changing to gangrenous state. So, Cantharis is more indicated in such cases. Burning on touch, slightest touch, whereas in rustox it is not so. In Cantharis, even on slight touch there is great burning in small blisters. Cantharis corresponds to the lowest forms of diseases, even gangrenous and violent inflammatory conditions of bowel, lungs, spine, brain, with sinking and hypocritic continence. Inflammation of lungs, gangrenous type, and the affected lung burns as if there is boiling water in it or burns like fire. Intensity and rapidity is the characteristic feature of Cantharis. Whenever there is rapid inflammation of bowel, there is diarrhea of bloody mucus or serum. Same watery discharge from eyes. Whenever the fluid comes in contact with skin, it burns and take off the skin. The whole urinary tract, genitalia are in inflammatory state, irritation and even threatened gangrene. If there is frequent micturations with cutting and burning pains, or if the urine passes with great smarting and burning, then it is almost always the Cantharis. If the urinary symptoms persist even in some other diseases that are not related to urinary tract, Nash says that Cantharis is almost a remedy if these urinary symptoms persist. It can be inflammation of pleura, inflammation of brain, bowel inflammation, mucous membranes of any part of body. Nash says that he verifies this in a lady, a patient. She was suffering from chronic bronchitis and her mucus was so tenacious, profuse and ropey that he thought of Kali Bichrome. But Kali Bichrome did not even ameliorate. She got worse and worse till she has a burning micturation and she has to go frequently for urination and there is lot of burning, smarting, and Nash prescribed Cantharis. The result was magical. Cantharis is one of the remedies to be considered in pleuritis. It has itching, burning, and it inflames vulva and vagina. Once a student in Chicago was greatly struck by a case of burn. Pains vanished quickly after Cantharis high was given by Dr. Kent. Homeopathy knows no specifics except the specific remedy for specific individual. Yet Hahnemann tells some remedies produces so similar symptoms that it becomes specifics, such as Cantharis in cystitis, belladonna in scarlet fever, mercor in dysentery, and latroductus in angina pectoris. To sum up, Cantharis, inflammatory conditions of Cantharis are very violent and comes with rapidity. And there is excessive burning pains in any part of body, in all mucous membranes and skin. There is stringy tenacious discharges, frequent urging to urinate with much straining, cutting and burning pains. Nearly all complaints are accompanied with characteristic urinary symptoms. Erysipelas with blebs, large blisters filled with water, extreme burning, and it is also useful for burns locally. Uncontrollable anguish, delirium, and excessive sexual desires in both sexes.